Alright guys, so welcome back. Today we're going to be doing chapter 1, Organizational Behavior and Management for COMM 222. So let's take at the main points on the left side. So 1, define organizations and describe their basic characteristics. 2, explain organizational behavior. 3, the goals of organizational behavior. 4, we have the viewpoint of management to human relations. 5, the contingency approach to management. And then 6, the 5 management concerns and how they can be managed. So, organizational behavior and management. So, let's start with number 1. What are organizations? Organizations are social inventions accomplishing goals through group effort. An example of this is Click Health, Toronto Raptors, the CTV News, colleges and universities just like Concordia. So, a goal accomplishment? Well, organizational behavior is concerned with how organizations can survive and adapt. So, let me highlight that. How organizations survive and adapt. 1, it could be motivated in the organization. 2, carry out basic work, productivity, quality, and service. 3, continuously learn and upgrade their knowledge and skills. So I'm going to highlight that. Learn and upgrade their knowledge and skills. 4, flexible and innovative. So we have group effort. Much of the intellectual and physical work done is performed by groups, permanent or short-term teams. So 2, what is organizational behavior? Organizational behavior refers to the attitudes and behaviors. So let me highlight that. Attitudes and behaviors of individuals and groups and organizations. Studies how organizations can be structured more effectively and how events affect the organization. So let me highlight that. Structured more effectively and how events affect the organization. So I'll do that also in pink. Perfect. So those who study organizational behavior are interested in attitudes. So I'll highlight that. How satisfied people are with their jobs. 2, how committed they feel to the goals of the organization. And 3, how supportive they are in cooperation, conflict, innovation, resignation, ethical lapses. So, human resources management. Human resources management is the programs, practices, and systems to acquire, develop, motivate, and retain employees in the organization. So, I'll highlight that in orange. So, human resource management is the programs, practices, systems to develop, motivate, and retain employees. Organizational behavior provides the theoretical basis for human resources practices. So let's look at 3 goals of organizational behavior. Our goal is to predict, explain, and manage behaviors are all the common goals. So I'll highlight that. Prediction, explaining, and managing behavior. So predicting organizational behavior. There is high interest in predicting when people will make ethical decisions, create innovative products, or engage in sexual harassment. However, predicting alone is not helpful if organizations cannot do anything to help it. So, what it pretty much says here is not only do they want to predict it, but they also want to find a solution to that prediction. So, explaining organizational behavior. Explain events and why they occur in organizations. Explaining events is more complicated than predicting them. That's a key point. Explaining events is more complicated than predicting them because behaviors can have multiple causes. The ability to understand behavior is a necessary prerequisite for effectively managing it. So, managing organizational behavior, the art of getting things accomplished in organizations. Managers acquire, allocate, and utilize physical and human resources to accomplish goals. So I'll highlight that. Managers, what do? They acquire, they allocate, utilize physical and human resources. And I'll also highlight acquire. So if behaviors can be predicted and explained, we can take action to manage it effectively. evidence-based management, translating principles based on the best scientific evidence into organizational practices based on the best available science evidence rather than personal references and experiences. So this pretty much explains how management is based off of the best and scientifically proven way of managing a company or an organization instead of, oh, I feel like this is how I should do it, or I liked how this worked, so I'm gonna do that. But the problem with using your personal preferences is that might work for a specific case, but it might not work for the all cases. So this is pretty much saying evidence-based management is using their science evidence. So 4, early prescriptions of concerning management. So there are 2 basic phases for correcting management. 1, it's the classical viewpoint, and 2, the human relations movement. So let's talk about the classical viewpoint and bureaucracy. The classical viewpoint tended to advocate a high degree of specialization and of coordination. So I'll highlight that. Classical viewpoint, high degree of specialization and coordination. Each department tends its own affairs, decision making from upper management providing coordination. The classical viewpoint suggests that to maintain control, managers have a few workers where machine pacing might substitute for close supervision. Bureaucracy, coined by Max Weber, advocates in rationally managing complex organizations. Bureaucracy has the following qualities: a strict chain of command, each member reports to a single superior, a selection and promotion based on technical skills rather than nepotism or favoritism, detailed rules, regulations, procedures ensuring that the job gets done, strict specialization to match duties with technical competence, and centralization of power at the top of organizations. The human relations movement. Hawthorne studies conducted in the 1920s and 1930s illustrated how psychological and social processes affect productivity and work adjustments. Human relations movement called the dysfunctional aspects of classical management and bureaucracy, such as 1. A strict specialization in incompetence with human needs for growth and achievement. 2. Strong centralization and reliance on formal authority often fail to take advantage of creative ideas. The organizations will fail to learn from its mistakes, which will threaten innovation and adaptation. 3. Strict impersonal rules led members to adopt the minimum acceptance level of performance. Strong specialization causes employees to lose sight of the overall goals of the organization. So 5, contemporary management, the contingency approach. The classical pointed out the critical role of control and coordination to achieve their goal. So I'll highlight that as well. Of control and coordination to achieve their goals. The human relationships pointed out the dangers of certain forms of control and coordination and the need for flexibility and adaptability. Human relationships for the need of flexibility and adaptability. The contemporary scholars have learned that management approaches need to be tailored to fit the situation. So that's a very good point. So contemporary scholars that management approaches need to be tailored. So the contingency approach recognizes there is no best way to manage. So let me highlight that because that is a very good point. There's no best way to manage. An appropriate style depends on the demands of the situation, and this makes sense. The leadership style is contingent on the abilities of the followers. So like I was saying before, something might work for this person or in this organization, but might not work for another organization. That's why you need to be able to be flexible and adapt to the specific organization. And the way to manage that is figuring out what's the best way to figure what's the best way to manage this organization. So number 6, some contemporary management concerns. We will examine 5 issues with which organizations and managers are currently concerned. One, we have diversity. It's your local and global. Both the labor force and customers are becoming increasingly culturally diverse. The workforce will be dominated by people over the age of 40 in the future. Organizations are adopting new programs such as flexible benefit plans, compressed workdays, part-time jobs in order to attract the older workers. Diversity has been concerned with stereotypes, conflict, cooperation, and teamwork. So, 2, employee health. Work related stress, physical health, and psychological health are all ways of health for the employee. Organizations are faced with employees who are disengaged, disillusioned, and suffering from physical and mental sickness. An example is the psychologically healthy workplace. So we can see here communication goes with work life balance, health and safety, employee growth and development, employee recognition, and employee involvement. And all of this can go into employees' well being and organizational functioning. So you always want this. You could see the arrows here between employee well-being and organizational functioning, because an organization can't function correctly if their employees have some health issues, have some work-life balance that they're not being able to fix, or if they're suffering from physical or mental sickness. An organization must take care of their employees to for themselves as well. So, workplace spirituality provides employees with meaning, purpose, a sense of community, and a connection to others. Workplace spirituality is about providing employees with a meaningful work life. Organizational care, values, and principles centered on fulfilling employees' needs, promoting employees' best interests, and valuing employees' contributions. Positive organizational behavior. Organizational behavior provides employees with the resources they need to achieve their goals and to improve their performance. Positive organizational behavior, study and application applying of positive human resources, strengths, and psychological capacities for performing improvement. Psychological capital. It's an individual's positive psychological state of development characterized by efficacy, optimism, hope, and resilience. So I'll highlight that. An individual's positive psychological state of development. So self-efficacy is the confidence to take on and put in the necessary effort to succeed at challenging tasks. Optimism is explaining positive events in terms of personal and permanent causes, and negative events as external and situation specific causes. So, 3, talent management and employee engagement. Talent management is an organization's processes and practices for attracting, developing, retaining, and deploying people with the required skills. Work engagement, a positive work related state of mind that is characterized by vigor, dedication, and absorption. So let me highlight these 2 things. For attracting, it's the organization's processes for attracting, developing, retaining, and deploying people. Work engagement is a positive work related state of mind that is characterized by, so that's fine. So, 4, alternating work arrangements. So, economics, demographics, and technology are changing the nature, the methods, and the organization of work and employment relationships. Precarious work, that is work that is risky, uncertain, and unpredictable. So, let me highlight all of that. So the consequences of work arrangements include decreased trust, decreased morale, decreased job satisfaction, and commitment. An example of this is the COVID-19 pandemic, which brought light to a number of people in precarious jobs and negative work situations, where many ended up losing their jobs because they were not aware of how risky, uncertain, and unpredictable their jobs really were. Organizational behavior ensures that all workers have equitable opportunities, fair living wages, safe working conditions, security, rights, and protection. So let me highlight that. Security, rights, and protection. So, 5, corporate social responsibility. Organizations have become increasingly concerned with corporate social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility means that organizations taking responsibility for the impact of its decisions and actions on its stakeholders. So CSR, our corporate social responsibility, practices can be external or internal. CSR aims at local communities, the environment, and consumers. CSR is how an organization performs its core functions of producing goods and providing services while doing so in a socially responsible way. CSR activities and policies are associated with a firm's performance and employee attitudes. So that's it for chapter 1, organizational behavior and management. So here on the bottom we could see is all the chapters that I'm going to be doing for COMM 222 set up in various ways. So we have our part 1, our introduction, that's the video right here. Part 2, that's going to be coming soon, individual behavior. Part 3 is social behavior and organizational processes. Part 4 is the total organization. And you can see here it all goes into organizational performance. So that's it. Thank you.